2, 3, 4, tell us you want a refund on your mortgage. Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to here. Hi, lip gloss. Okay, here's what we're gonna do today, okay? We're gonna talk about some practice tips. I'm gonna give you some practice tips to help you build a more effective practice routine, but also I'll give you some practical tips to improve your playing. So the number one thing you're gonna wanna do to build an effective practice routine is to write down all the things you want to improve on. And so maybe that's memorizing chord shapes or switching between chords or playing the major scales or just a list of songs you wanna learn, all right? Whatever it is. I'm not gonna judge. I'm not gonna judge. I'm not gonna judge. It's some water. And that list, of course, will change over time and get updated, but it's very important that you have a clear list of all the things that you need to focus on because it's very easy to get lost in the sauce, you know? It's very easy to get lost in the barbecue sauce. Tee-hee, I just put my hair up. I put my hair up. You see? The next tip we're going to do is we're going to create a weekly practice schedule that is informed by our list of things we want to practice. This way, every practice session has an intention, okay? I don't think there's even a graph on the screen right now, is there? Probably not. Is there? Is there a graph right now? Maybe there's a graph of a giraffe. Maybe it's a giraffe graph. Do you see a giraffe graph? And this way, we don't just sit down and get distracted and just do a whole lot of nothing. Which happens sometimes. Tell us you want a refund on your mortgage. And also having everything to schedule forces you to practice the things you've just been putting off. Because you just didn't want to get to them, you know? But if it's in a schedule, you know that this specific date is for that thing. And so you can't just disregard it. You have to face it in the face. You got to face it in the face. You got face in the back, you got faces everywhere, and you got to say, I have to deal with you. What am I going to do with you? Am I going to take you and put you in a drawer, or am I going to take you and put you in my fridge? Because I like my fridge. Okay. And now the next tip is a little bit more of a practical tip, okay, and it's specifically for electric guitar players, all right? If you play electric guitar like this guy right here, it's very important that you practice with the amp, okay? And I'm guilty of not even listening to this tip. Like 90% of the time. But strings sound very different unplugged than they do plugged, okay? They're very sensitive. So you need to learn about that sensitivity and learn how to mute properly and control the strings. The next tip was I like to call rock and roll. It's what I like to call the 5-minute conundrum, okay? Although I don't think I'm using that word right. I just like the word. What this means is we start every practice session with the intention of only playing for 5 minutes. This many. So we set a timer for 5 minutes, and then after that 5 minutes is over, you can decide if you want to practice for another 5 minutes, and you probably will. And then for another, and then for another, and then for another, and then another, and then another, and then another. And then soon enough, you've been practicing for 30 minutes. You didn't even realize. So that's the beauty of the 5-minute conundrum. You gaslight your brain. You say, we're not going to practice for a whole practice session. Don't you worry, silly bell. We're going to get to the arcade soon enough. Arcades. Are arcades still a thing? Bumper cars at the movies? Who allowed that? Who allowed bumper cars to be a thing? Just controlled car accidents. You put a bunch of kids in a car accident simulator? What was that? The 90s were a weird time, huh? 90s were a weird time. The point is, you tell your brain it's only 5 minutes, don't worry about it. Don't be such a freaking dramatic baddie. Next tip is another technical tip. So when you practice something, let's say you're practicing a solo, you're going to want to practice slowly, okay? And here's what I mean by slowly. Let's say you're practicing a solo, okay? We're going to want to go through that solo very slowly and intentional with our finger placement and picking stuff. Okay, so example. Okay, we're going through it very slowly and intentionally. This way, we start to, 1, become aware of our weaknesses, okay, where we need to improve upon. And 2, we don't just inherit, is that the word? We don't adopt our bad habits, okay? Can't adopt your bad habits. You keep those in foster care. You say you're bad boys and you stay where you are. And that's how you kind of do that. You do that way. The next tip is a nice one. It's one we're all gonna love. Tell us you want a refund on your mortgage. And that is to take breaks. It's very important to take a couple breaks. And this is just science, okay? It's sciencey stuff, right? Studies have shown, right? When you start to study, your attention and memory capabilities starts to diminish, okay? Slowly, slowly. And then around the 25-minute mark, you're just like brain dead. Yeah, that's what the science says. And so if you're using the 5-minute conundrum drill, you could just take one of the 5 minutes as a break and then get back to it. And you also want to give your hands a break. Your muscles get tired. And here's a little trick that I do that one of you subscribers told me. So shout out to you, sir. You take a heating pad and you take a damp towel and you put it on a heating pad. And then when it's time for a little break, I take it, I sandwich it in between my hands. Okay? And then it warms them up and it makes them nice and prep to play again, you know? And the last tip is that, you know what? You're just gonna have to accept that some days you're just gonna play better than others. Some days you're gonna play worse than others. Someday over the rainbow, skies are blue. And then they turn purple and gray because of all the flu. Except that some days you're gonna play worse than others, okay? Listen to me. Some days I pick up the guitar and I'm like, I feel like a rock star. I'm like, hey, you just call me Kurt Cobain. And then other days I'm like, do I play guitar? I don't play guitar, do I? Why do I sound like garbage? You know? So you just have to give yourself grace about that. That's just how it goes sometimes, you know? And so that's all. That's it. Those are my tips for an effective practice routine and how to practice goodly for yourself, for your life, and for your mom. Don't forget to go to makeitchurchmusic.com. You go there right now. And go look at the 70s and guitar ebooks. We got 2 of them. Oh, let me mention this. This is good. Yeah, you're gonna like it. The Beginner Guitar Guide will especially help you if you're looking to establish a good practice routine, because in the book, it tells you everything you should learn at first, and it has all the things in the book broken down into a weekly practice schedule already done for you. It's already done. And so that's all, okay? Then what? Then we have the 70s and Beginner Guitar Guide, and ooh, eggs. I like eggs. And also keep an eye out for the Keto Music Theory World Tour. Oh, it looks like this. Yeah, look it. I know my themes, don't I? It's a complete music fundamental course that I filmed myself in a blazer. We go through the absolute fundamentals of music, okay? What keys are, how we build keys, how we build chords from keys, how we build major scales. Ooh, thank you. And all that, you know? And that should be coming out February 1st. We're aiming for February 1st. Milo, Foreman, and Hair. Milos? Milos. Yeah. Keep your hands off my toots. Okay. Ooh, is there anyone watching who is in here? Are you in here? You see yourself? You see yourself? Hey, you see yourself? The blues will never die. Yeah. And so that's all, everyone. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all that you do. Don't forget, if ever you take 2 parakeets to dinner and you walk in, and the parakeets go straight for the aquariums with the lobsters, you know, do they do that anymore? Well, they do in this example. Okay, and they go in there and they grab the lobster and they run out the front door, and then you run out the front door after them. And then you notice that you really like the door. And you say, I want this door. So you ask the lady at the front, you know, at the podium. And you say, who's your door guy? And she says, I don't know, like Tom or something, but like your parakeets just stole the lobster. And you say, oh, they're not my parakeets. I just found them on the side of the road. And so you say, so back to the door, you know. Give me his number. I want to call him. And she says, okay. And she doesn't know what to do. She gives you the number. And then you call. And then they say, chirp, chirp. And you say, Are you the parakeets that stole the lobster? You're also the door guys? Okay, let's